welcome our viewers to the show, Entrepreneurs, Business, and Finance. And we're very fortunate today to have with us Mr. Jeff Strong, and he is the founder and owner of CORR Solutions Electrical and is an electrical engineer. Jeff, hello.
How you doing, Henry?
Well, really good and really glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
I've got your website pulled up, and it is very impressive. Perhaps you could give to start with, we'll go kind of where you are now, we'll go back in time, and then we'll talk about what you plan to do in the future. But to start with, give us an idea of what your company is doing today. What kind of business?
Well, we've shifted from electrical construction to building low voltage electrical switchgear. So that's what we're currently doing today. There's a big market for it, and we stepped into that market. We've been doing it for about the past 5 years. It serves us as far as electrical construction because we're not able to get some of these low voltage switchgears. And it also services other contractors around the country as well.
So for those that aren't real familiar with what that is, in layman's terms, how does that help your clients? Where does it go? It goes into construction projects and
Yeah, so basically what we build is the utility version. So whenever you want to get power into your utility, a lot of it is EV driven these days. So whenever you want to do an EV project, the starting place for the utility is in the switchgear. The utility power comes into here, and then it provides breaker protection or overcurrent protection for the EV charging systems that they're putting in. Most of the EV stuff is in California.
got it. And you're located out west and
Located in Longview, Washington.
Longview, Washington. And are you from Longview, Washington originally?
Yeah, born and raised here in Longview.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, and I understand that there's a real need and shortage of what you're providing, and that there's some problems with delays, and you've been able to help a lot of your customers solve some of those issues.
That's correct. So we ran into this about 5 years ago, that delay times were getting out to 36 to 48 weeks to get switchgear, where normally it would take 6 to 8 weeks. So after COVID, or during COVID, the delays were getting longer and longer and longer for supply chains. So we provided a solution that will get your switchgear in about 12 to 14 weeks. Right now, if you look at the big four manufacturers, they're anywhere from 48 weeks to 80 weeks to get Switchboard. So we provided a solution to get them out to customers in 12 to 14 weeks. That's about where it's at.
Wow, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so that's complicated. You and your company are actually assembling these products. Is that accurate? You have a warehouse or you have a facility?
Yeah, actually we have a building facility. We started organically. We're starting to grow. We actually build everything here in the US. All the steel, paint, powder, everything is here in the US. We can provide all types of field services too as well on that switchgear. So yeah, everything's built here in the US, built by US labor. So that's actually pretty cool in that regard.
Really cool. Really cool. And it's not something you can just wake out of bed and roll out of bed one day without any training or background or expertise and do. So obviously you became an electrical engineer, but how did you learn? Probably didn't learn this totally in school either. So how did you learn how to assemble all this?
Well, I've been in the electrical trade for 40 years. So I've seen a lot of electrical installations. I've traveled to every state, including Mexico and Canada, and been in the electrical field. So you get to see a lot of projects and kind of what's wrong, what's right. You're able to take those things over those 40 years and put it to good use. And then I've got some extensive CAD background. So it was, when we started this, it was like, do we really want to jump into this? And the manufacturers were holding us up. So we weren't going to take no for an answer. So we jumped in, we started CADing these things and went through different revisions of this stuff to get it better and better. And I feel that we've come up with a really good product. It's taken a while to get there, but through all this work and getting it out there, it's really done good. It's really grown.
So would you say you're engineering the products in-house then?
Oh yeah, everything's engineered in-house, everything. So when we engineer a product, we put it on laser, and it's actually cut, the steel's all cut out in laser, and then we'll put these pieces together. and make sure everything fits perfect. It don't fit, we go back, we change it, we make these little adjustments. Once everything is completely right, then we put that in a book, as, for a certain model number. And then when we want to build that model number, just pull it up, it all lasers out, we send it to powder coating. So it's powder coated, and then we just assemble from there. So everything is from ground up. We've not taken anything from anybody as far as, ideas, other than just general things that we see out in the field that don't work right because other companies haven't been out there to install these and build them. We kind of bring both worlds together by being able to have installed them and build them too. So it works pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. So when you were growing up, and were you a studious fellow, or did you engineering mind from the get-go, or?
Yeah, engineering mind from the get-go. Yeah, I started out actually welding when I was 13 years old, had my first welder. So yeah, I started from there. Love to build things, love to tinker. What made things tick. I had to take it apart, put it back together. So yeah, I had all that, and then started into the electrical field basically right out of high school. And so I traveled around, learned a lot of things. But yeah, I had a mind where if someone didn't want to do something, I was the one that was going to step in and make that happen, whatever it was. So that's kind of what we did here. I stepped in, and we're going to make something happen and build something, and it's going to work. So yeah, that's how I was driven for sure.
So when you started out as a welder, was that a job, or was that a gig? Is that kind
No,
of?
actually, I started out as a 15 and a half, 16 years old, and started out as a production line welder. Worked in a machine shop. So that was my after school job. Earned my money first that way. It was my first job. Learned a lot of good skills in that machine shop setting, welding setting. So it taught me a lot of things going into the electrical field. So I carried those things into the electrical field with me, and was able to put welding with the electrical trade, which, there's a few people that can do that, but it worked really good for me.
And when did you, so when you were a kid, did you think one day you'd own your own company? Was that in your list, or not so much?
It really wasn't on my list because I didn't like to be tied down to anything. You're responsible for a lot of things when you own a company.
Yeah.
So I worked for other individuals until I was about 25. And then I started a company because, you see, when you work really hard and you actually see the owners grow, and you're just basically making a wage, you're always wanting to better yourself, right? So that was it. I was wanting to better myself, better my family. And so, yeah, I started my own company, started from there. And then it came here about 6 years ago. One of my sons wanted to do the same thing and follow in the footsteps. So we started another company, and so now me and him run it.
Okay. So start when you were 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did that come about?
It
Just
was,
that, I mean, I know you said you saw other
yeah.
people and you wanted to get maybe some of the rewards of that, but still, that's a big step that some people, they think that, and they don't choose to do that. As you
It,
said, there's risk, there's responsibility, there's trade-offs.
it was a hard road when, you're normally just doing what work is put in front of you. So I have my master's license at 24. So you have to have a master's license in our state to start your own electrical company. But I learned a lot of things coming through the trade from a couple people that I worked for, and they had some really good advice for me. So that's what got me to kind of stretch my legs and get out and do those things. It would have been pretty tough without that advice. So, good advice from some good individuals that have been in the trade for years.
Yeah, I find that's a common theme, that smart people get some advice when they start, and smart people are lucky enough to have people that are willing to give them that advice, and people with the right attitude, and nice people.
Yeah, and to listen. You gotta listen to those people. Most people don't want to listen to, someone giving you advice because it may be contrary to what you think. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Very good point. So let's talk about some of your products that are very exciting and innovative. Because I know, what would you say your passion is?
R&D,
Yeah.
R&D in basically anything that someone hasn't perfected and is just not, that I feel good enough. So yeah, we've done a few things that on the R&D side that we've done. We just haven't got out to market that I think would, you know, revolutionize a lot of things. So
They're coming, huh?
yeah, they're coming.
More to come. Follow up show a year from now.
Yeah.
We heard it first,
Yeah.
but it's still secret. So now you can learn. How about right now? I know there's some products that you already have engineered and created to be rather innovative and unique that you're selling and putting in the marketplace. People like to hear about.
Yeah, so I mean, the current thing we're in right now is we're doing the low voltage switchboard switchgear. And so that brings us to, we're able to actually bring things to the market faster than the big four. The big four, when I say that, is the big conglomerate electrical manufacturers. So I think that that's been one of our goals, is to make that happen, to bring them faster. It helps us and it helps our customers as well. So we're kind of, I'd say, all in on that right now. One of our other things is we've done reverse osmosis projects where, you know, it's basically a system that takes, you can take dirty water and make clean water, right? You know, right from a mud puddle, if you like, you know, if you want to. But what we've done is put in a mobile version, and we've worked with a couple different companies that have wanted to get this out to the market. And so now they've got it, we've got it out to the market to a lot of the emergency management systems in the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. So, and it's actually growing. A lot of the states are investing in these, and they're putting them in communities so that if there ever is an emergency, they're able to provide, you know, water to the local community and stuff, and clean drinking water and stuff. So it's actually been a pretty cool process, and that I would consider that under the R&D thing that we really enjoy, where the company that had this was getting ready to give up because they couldn't make it work in the package that they had. So I went in there and spent my own time in there saying, we're not going to, you know, allow this to beat us. And so we designed something that worked for the package they had, and yeah, they're selling them now today. So it was a really good thing that we were able to combine our efforts and make it work.
So give you described it briefly, but real world examples now that you've been able to make that work. What's an example of what it would be used for? Who bought it, and and why did they buy it, and what are they either using it for or planning on using it for if there's an emergency, more specifically?
So the state actually right now, like the state of Oregon, state of Washington, I think is to be next, state of California, they're buying the mobile units. And what they can do is it can desalinate too as well. They make the desalination units if they're closer to the ocean, where they're going to have some kind of salt water that they're going to have to convert to drinking water. But say, for instance, you have a water source like a lake that you're not sure what the water quality is. You can actually suck up from that lake out of the mobile units. And what it does is goes through the reverse osmosis process. And also there's a few chemicals that are put in there that are not harmful to you that make it actual potable drinking water. So it actually is a very quick way where you could pull the mobile trailer up. There's a generator in there. It starts up, and then you're sucking water, and it'll produce, depending on temperatures, it produces about 30 gallons a minute. So you're able to produce 30 gallons a minute of fresh drinking water from these units. So, I mean, it could be life-saving for, you know, these communities, and these communities are starting to get these in service. So, yeah.
So you can imagine instances where there's fires, earthquakes,
Yeah.
water goes out, and this is what people need to drink, or
Yes.
perhaps remote regions too, where I mean, I know
Yeah,
there's a lot of
it's actually
forests.
remote regions as well. I'm not sure if they're using them for fire, but they probably could for like the firefighters and stuff where they're not sure about their water quality and stuff. They pull those
Yeah.
up there, and they can make fresh drinking water there. Yeah.
So I mean, people are probably familiar, but this is a part of the world where there's vast forests and that forest fires, and I'm sure there's got to be some potential logistical challenges with getting water in some of these areas, especially when
Yes.
you got fires burning. Um, Takes over towns, and there's all sorts of tragedies that sometimes happen.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So you now have a family business.
Have a family business.
You
Yep.
got your son involved. Um,
Yeah.
I gotta think that that's very rewarding, and I imagine there's also some challenges there. Hopefully, mostly rewarding. But
Yeah, there's definitely been some challenges, father and son always butt heads and on ideas and stuff, but I think we've come to a common understanding, and it's actually worked really good. He's taken care of the business end of things and also field projects as well. And I've been taking care of the shop and engineering and R&D, which has worked really good for me because that's really where I want to be. And so we're able to bring these R&D jobs to fruition and just create more jobs and opportunities.
and do you have a lot of outsourcing of work, or do you have a large staff
We,
internally, or how does that work?
we outsource our laser and powder coating, and we're trying to get to assembly, just to assembly, as it works good for us because obviously in financial terms, it's a huge investment to try to walk into like low voltage switchboards. It'd probably be $5 million or something like that to walk in, have a building, and have all the equipment you need to do that. So what's worked good is, and we've done this in years past, is we use other people's skills and stuff and businesses in order to help us. And so it's still cost effective as well because you're not managing a bunch of employees. You're able to kind of coordinate your efforts on just getting the stuff out the door that we have here. And so we still have sometimes we still have problems getting things, but right now I think one of the big things that's hard to get is copper busing. It's in a short supply, so that kind of slows us down a little bit. But everything else is done in house except for powder coating and tin work. So,
Yeah, that's neat. How big is the town where you live? I don't know. I feel like
I think there's 40,000 in the town. It's not a real big town.
yeah. So you don't have to commute big long ways or traffic or fight any of those things, huh? So
No, yeah, I think we're about 8 minutes to the shop from the house, so it works pretty good. Yeah, we don't have to fight the traffic or anything. The other good thing about this area is it's a mill town, and so in the mill town, there's lots of industrial places to get your hardware, your bolts. I mean, pretty much anything you need in this town they have. So it works out really good. It's a small town, but it has a lot of industrial businesses. So.
that was actually going to be my question. Yeah, were there challenges with the small town? But it sounds like you've got an ideal setup there, just and you're capitalizing on it and helping a lot of people. I bet too with the jobs and revenue you're generating
Yep.
and
Yeah, I know that
acquisition.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I know in the past, this area here has been impacted by logging, or not being able to log and things like that. So there's been a lot of job loss over the years, but it's a pretty solid town. There's a lot of people that come in and we help out, and we give them work and whatever. But yeah, no, it's a small town, but a lot of things here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful out there too. You're not too far from so many great areas of nature. But living here in Dallas, Texas, hey, it's good for business, but there's not too many pretty things unless you build it. You got to drive a long ways or fly somewhere. It's pretty much flat prairie.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're pretty blessed where we live is you're able to walk out the door and see Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier.
yeah.
So we're pretty blessed to have a view like that. And, it's very wooded and lots of nature and things like that. So it's good after a hard day's work. You get home and you're able to come home and enjoy, being there with the family. So, yeah.
So we have some friends in common. So I know that there's been times when you mentioned organic growth, but you did some marketing and actually had too much demand for your product. So maybe share a little bit about the ups and downs of balancing, order flow and enough order flow, too much order flow. It's a problem that a lot of people would like to have, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, so we built this business going on the organic growth model. We didn't want to invest a bunch of money in something that, could be gone in a couple of years. We just didn't know at that point in time where it was going to go. We didn't know how the manufacturers were going to gear back up. But seeing that what we have here is I don't see them gear back up Their model now is basically they're going to continue down the road that they're at with, 50 weeks delivery time, and their profit margins are up. So they're not going to change that model. And that's one of the reasons why we kind of stepped in and did what we did, is to, cut the time frames down.
How about some challenges that you've faced? People like to hear about, because it's never been easy. There's always some challenges you have to overcome.
I think the challenges right now for us are in the copper market, commodities. That's where our challenge is. And you also, you're talking about challenges in building this, and so yeah, there's a lot of challenges in it. Coordinating, who's going to come first in line. Because you got customers that are very valuable, and you're trying to get them worked out. And then also you've got this influx that we had with our website that just completely overwhelmed us, and we weren't able to keep up. So yeah,
so that was a case where you had someone that we both work with. It's a friend, mutual friend, and he basically helped you with your marketing.
Yep.
Which I don't think he'd really done much marketing. It'd been word of mouth and organic, and engaged some outreach, and then, in layman's terms, your phone blew up, and then you had to deal with that.
That is correct. Well, it actually put us in a tailspin, is really what it did. Is we've had some big people contact us, very, very big contracts. We had a lot of quoting that we were trying to catch up on, as far as the inquiries coming in. And what I mean by tailspin is we were so clogged up with trying to get these things out in quotes and timeframes out to customers that it slowed down production. So we weren't able to do production. So we had to say, okay, yeah, we want work in the future, but we can't continue down this road because we're not going to be able to get out what we have in the shop. So we had to talk to Billy and just say, hey, we have to turn the website off because it's overwhelming us. So we did that. We actually tuned it down to just some organic stuff, and we were able to catch up. And so now we know what we can actually dial on and dial off to make that happen, to keep everybody in a stress-free environment here. So, as it was pretty stressful at that point in time.
And those are some of those challenges that companies grow too fast, don't have enough business, finding that watermark, which it sounds like you've got a better grasp on that. I think it's a constant challenge for most businesses to find it, but if you can stay close to it, then you're doing really well. So well done on that. But isn't that interesting that you could literally have that much attention for your product, and that there's that much of a need and a desire?
Yeah, we've even had Tesla contact us. So that's actually a pretty good kudos for us. If you got Tesla knocking on your door and asking if you can build product for them.
Well, that's really neat. So what you see in the future is more of the same as far as the current products you have, although I say that knowing that you're constantly probably improving those existing products, but then growing organically, not too fast, and then a whole lot of new products that you're working on, or a number of new products that you're working on that you hope to roll out sometime in the future. Sounds like a pretty good business plan. I'm sure I left a lot of things out, and there's more to it than just that, but it sounds like a pretty neat situation from a lot of years of hard work.
Yep. Yeah, we've got a lot of products that we'd like to build. It's just one of those things where, where do you donate all your time to? There's so many things that we can do, that we see that we can advance things in the market, and we can sit down and talk about it over coffee and say, yeah, we got a better idea. But implementing that plan and actually getting the product to market and doing all those things, it ends up being pretty tough. So we're trying to concentrate on what we can do best and make the best of that. And if we can get a couple other products to market, then that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Well, it seems really neat too that you have your son that's able has a passion for some of the things that you don't have as much passion for, so that you can strengthen that range of what the business can do. And, obviously you got someone you can trust too. So that's always very important.
For sure.
Well, neat. Well, you have other children that are going to want to come into the business too?
I have 6 children, and I don't think we're going to get any other into the business. Yeah, maybe the grandsons and granddaughters, maybe we can train those ones up right and get them into the trade field.
Well, maybe one's enough to keep things solid.
Yeah.
Six children. Well, congratulations on that alone.
Thank you.
How old's the youngest?
22.
So they may be around the home or in the home, but generally they're out of the home at this point.
Yeah. So we're between 22 and 30, and we have triplets. So yeah, three of the kids are obviously triplets, and yeah, that's quite interesting too, as well. So during all the construction period that I was going through, we had three kids to take care of at the same time, or four. So yeah, it was quite the deal.
You've had a full life.
Yeah, blessed life, blessed life.
Blessed life, blessed life. Well, really a pleasure to hear about all this. And if you want to say something, if you're looking for people to contact you, the website is on the screen here, CORRSE.com. And I know you still are looking, I'm sure, for new customers if it's the right fit. And so, hey, is there anything else you'd like to say to wrap this up? I mean, you covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty good. Obviously, if there's any customers who are looking for low voltage switchgear, contact us at CORR. And we're just always looking to better the product, better the industry, and make it easier for the guys that are installing this in the field, to enjoy our product out there, because we've installed them too as well. And I know a lot of the bigger companies haven't done that. So we've been in the trenches and we've been building them. And so I think we do a good product, and hopefully we can continue just to better the industry.
Well, I really appreciate your sentiments and your time, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry. Appreciate it. Good talking to you.